more footwork.
Woo! All right, Facebook, let's get her up and running as well. Got the wheels spinning. We are killing it. Go, go, go. 1 and 2. All right, welcome in. It is Wednesday morning, September 3rd, 2025. The last Wednesday until we have real football. We're on the eve of the NFL season. Eric, I am Nick Kendell, joined by Erick Trickel as always. This is Broncos for Breakfast, powered by the coffee that I had this morning. Little guy was up last night, so I'm just sitting here in a manic state with so little sleep. But we're here. We're living the dream. We get to talk football. Broncos season. Eric, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm excited that the football season's just upon us. I'm also, on a non-football thing. I found out the joys of Microsoft Game Pass. And so when I was younger, I actually played a video game competitively, Gears of War 2, and I found out that's on Game Pass, and they just remastered the first one. I played that with the wife, and now went and got an Xbox. Now we're playing through those, and I know you don't have time for video games, and you do all your hiking, but the wife and we enjoy playing video games together, so we're enjoying that, which is, it's fun, and the kid's enjoying it. But also started schoolwork with the kid, and man, she's in third grade, and next week I got to start teaching her multiplication, and I'm not looking forward to that. But football's back, starts tomorrow. I'm excited for it, even though I may seem a little tired because I am, but I'm excited for it. And I'm so glad that, we're back in the groove of things where, I love the draft season, but now we get to talk about actual football. We get to talk about the Broncos, and we get to see, all the hype that we've had over the offseason if it becomes realized at this point.
Yeah, very excited for that all. Good luck with the multiplication. At least you're not at long division yet, or what is the Common Core math, whatever is going on now. God bless. There's a reason I studied biology and not chemistry or physics at the end of the day. So appreciate everyone coming. We got our guy Mike Thompson. Hi, friends. David, hope you're well. Michael Ronquillo, the Ronk. Good to see you, fellow Mount Rushmore supporter. Ronk, great to see you. Hope you're doing well. Good morning to you. Denver Luke coming in. Denver, we're going to get you as a member here at some point, and that's a reminder. Become a member today of the MHH YouTube side of things. That helps us a heck of a lot. Appreciate you regardless. We got Mr. Roush coming in. Good morning, Broncos country. Feel like the offense will be slow the first 3 quarters and light it up for a 2-score win. Yeah, we're going to be getting into actual Broncos football today against one of the preseason. What's the opposite of a darling? Duds, I guess. People predicting this team to be pretty bad, the Tennessee Titans this season. But hey, people were predicting the Denver Broncos to be pretty bad last season as well. But one thing we do have is they do have the number 1 overall pick playing over there in Cam Ward. Bo Nix looked like a dud the first 2 weeks last season. I mean, almost every pass that went more than 10 air yards was hold on to your butts. That one's going to be could be in trouble. And then it got much better from there. So we're getting them at the right time for sure. Good to see you, Mr. Roush. We got Jake in the house. Good morning to all who bleed orange and blue. You might want to see a doctor there for that one, Jake. That doesn't sound normal. No, of course. We appreciate that. Michael coming in with the stars, $5 super chat. He also says Troy Franklin is on a mission. I hope this entire Broncos team is on a mission. No, not just the Falcons podcast. Had other duties, had to take care of quick. We're here. We're hanging out. Football, Broncos country. Mr. T. Woodley, 1. Great to see you. Chase in the house. Good morning. Sean was on the Rich Eisen show yesterday. Had a good interview. I didn't check that out yet, but Rich Eisen is one of the best. He's back at ESPN now, right?
Yeah, they had that
mistaken?
merger. He's back at ESPN, and it's going to be interesting watching Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter be colleagues.
Hopefully they don't fight at a Starbucks. We got Mark coming in here. Good to see you. Closer than ever, day by day. Yep, great to see you. Pearl's in the house too. There we go. Pearl, great to see you. Hi, Pearl. Hope the Corgs are doing well. Our guy Roy in the house. Good morning. I see you picked up practice squad wide receiver from the Vikings. Yeah, I mean, it's that time of year. If he gets called up, we'll pay a little bit more attention. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. But there you go. Thank you. And that's maybe the last we talk about him. I guess hopefully the last we talk about him, because Mims, Sutton, Sherfield, Franklin, Bryant all have a great season, so we don't have to worry too much. Boogmeister, good morning. Big dogs. I think you're on the wrong stream. There's no big dog. No, appreciate it. I'm on a roll catching you guys live. Kids and their math work nowadays is not our math we learned Yeah, I mean, it was not the Iowa math. That's for sure. We were counting corn cobs. Greg Smith, good to see you. Actually, in Iowa, you don't have to count up very high because we never score more than 14 points in a game. So I think that's about the end of it. We got Greg Smith coming in here. Great to see you. Hope you're doing well. JB 3 Degrees says GOW remaster recently came to the PS5. GOW, what is that?
Gears of War.
Yep. Trying out for the first time. It's a pretty fun game. Yeah, I never really got as much into the third person shooters. But I don't know, was Fallout third person? It might have been, actually. I did do some Fallout, but other than that, that's RPG, and not as much video games. Just more, I walk like 3 to 5 miles every day, and spend more time outside. And most of my TV time is either with you, Eric, or watching football, or it's with a wife. We have an hour almost every day, and would I play video games alone, or would I rather hang out with her? Mostly hang out with her. But I digress. Football's back, baby. First, tomorrow, we have a game. How are you feeling about the Eagles taking on, is it the Cowboys for that first game?
I don't know. I haven't seen, it's weird because I haven't seen much about the season opener and I don't memorize the schedules by week. I've seen more about the Chargers-Chiefs game on Friday in Brazil than I have the kickoff tomorrow. And so it's the Eagles. I can't tell you who they're playing without searching it up. So it's just it's a weird year where the Super Bowl champions aren't, getting that attention they normally get prior to kickoff.
Yeah, it is weird. You think there'd be a lot of, it's the Cowboys also with everything that happened with Parsons. So
yeah.
Eagles are favored by 8.5. I expect the Eagles to just beat the absolute hose off of them, whatever that means. You use your imagination, I guess. But with all the turmoil and weirdness, I think that Cowboys team is probably feeling pretty not good with everything that happened with Parsons. And when you trade your most valuable, best player from the team right before the season starts, can't feel good for your chances in that locker room immediately. So, yeah, I'm expecting that. And then, of course, you mentioned the game Friday at Sao Paulo. I don't want to be that guy, but are we on injury watch here for that game? If you remember what the turf was like last season in Brazil, it was absolutely horrific. And now you have Denver's biggest two hurdles towards winning the playoffs going against each other's. I mean, what are we setting an over/under on season-ending injuries, or is that too morbid? I mean, I would be scared bleepless if Denver was playing in Sao Paulo week 1, and now it's Chiefs and Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, when it came out that the Broncos were asking for one of the out-of-country games, I was so worried they were going to get Brazil because there were 3 or 4 season-ending injuries in that game last year.
I feel like they tend to happen like week 1 through 4 anyway.
Yeah,
like a lot of times, but yeah.
And then adding in being on that field, that was just a mess. There was talk about canceling the game because of how bad the field was. There was that late rush to get the field and play quality, and players weren't happy. So I think it's morbid to put an over/under on it, but definitely keeping an eye out for it. And already we saw it came out that Jalen Royals won't be playing in the game. He's dealing with an injury for the Chiefs. So it's going to be one that's interesting in that aspect. I don't care outside of that, really. I mean, I'll end up watching the game because they're two opponents the Broncos will face. And then with the Eagles-Cowboys game, adding to it is, you mentioned the locker room. I just got to wonder how many people in that locker room are realizing how terrible Jerry Jones is after that press conference of constantly referring to Micah Parsons as Michael, talking about how the defense is going to get better, even though the Cowboys defense last year was one of the better ones when Micah Parsons was on the field, and then the flat out worst in EPA per play when he wasn't on the field. And yet he's expecting them to get better, and they didn't really do a whole lot to add to that defense. So it's that I'm more interested in that one just because I want to see how the players and the coaches respond on the field with all that has happened so publicly between Jones and their star player who's no longer with them.
Ugly. I'm excited for that Friday game. That'll be a lot of fun. I don't know if I have any plans right now for Friday, so maybe we have to pull that one up. But yeah, it should be great. We got Quentin Caldwell in the house. Good morning. Michael said he sent support to some MHH Mount Rushmore's team. You're on the Mount Rushmore, no doubt. Appreciate you coming in. We got Stephen Bumgartner coming in. Awesome to see you. Appreciate you. And Now let's get into it, Eric. Broncos, Titans. I am thinking. I said it last night. I need to write up. I need to remember to write up and send it to Chad so I don't forget, because I have a friend's wedding coming up and its parents are here packing up the house. You can't even imagine how many boxes I have here to the right. I mean, these are the packed up, ready to go. Probably like 25 right now, and they're big. But we're doing it slowly but surely. But I need to get the write up in. I have Denver winning this one 27-13. I expect them to control the flow of the game pretty well. I think Cam Ward is going to be swimming a little bit, and I expect Denver to load up to stop the run. The big concern for me in this one is same as any. You give up a few fluky, explosive plays, one missed assignment, and it's a 70-yard touchdown. That changes the flow of the game. And also turnovers, penalties, those are the classic ones. I'm not going to drop this one, Eric, until he proves me that he's trustworthy. Punter, Jeremy Crawshaw. Bad punts here or there. Titans get a easy touchdown early because he has a shank, the 10-yard kind of punt, changes the flow of the game. So you can be the worst team, but if you get behind 10 points early, the other team can park the bus, and it can get hard for you. You start to get a little tight. So I expect Denver to win this one, but if they lose this one, it's one because they coughed it up and choked. And we didn't see that last year from Denver at all. Like, they beat the teams they were supposed to beat handily. But will that trend continue?
Yeah, and while I was waiting on you to finish up with Scott and for us to go live, I was getting up not going to write them up today, but I was picking out, what are my key matchups on the offense against their defense against the offense, and then my bold predictions. And you actually touched on, I believe, 4 of the 5 that I had. And just kind of funny because, like, as I was doing it, a lot of it went back to the conversation we were having on Monday. Jeremy Crawshaw has one in there. But I have Denver winning this one, I believe 24-9. I think they allow some movement. I don't think they have a breaking coverage, and I'm not sure at this moment Cam Ward is the guy who may recognize a breaking coverage and take advantage of it at the NFL level. He has a really bad habit of drifting back in the pocket, and throughout the preseason, we saw that miss a lot of open receivers. I think Denver gives him a rude awakening to the NFL. I think they sack him a lot. That's actually one of the bold predictions that I have. And I think on offense, I think Sean Payton is going to try to prove himself right when it comes to the run game. I think that they're going to pound the ball a lot just to prove that he's right, that the run game is going to get going and try to force it against the Titans.
Oh,
so
man.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a 60-40 run pass. I really think he's going to try to force it.
And for me, that makes me nervous because the weakness of the Broncos offense, as I perceive right now, is that interior duo not getting much movement. And without a doubt, the strength of the Titans defense is T'Vondre Sweat and Jeremy Simmons in the middle. So I think this is going to be a game where it's Bo Nix peppering them. Maybe Sean Payton wants to prove him right. I just don't know if this is the game for it. They're not quite fully all cylinders running in the outside zone, the zone work right now. And Sweat and Simmons are, while they're not the most dynamic pass rushing defensive tackle duo in football, as far as mass and strength, I don't know if there's anybody who touches them. And then you add to it, you have one of their edge rushers being Draymond Jones, who played 4-eye for Denver, 3 technique, right? He's listed as an edge rusher. So they're built strong. I mean, I guess you can try to really focus in on Arden Key, and their linebackers are not great in the run defense. Cody Barton, glad you got a contract. Appreciate you last season, buddy. But I think this is Sean Payton is arrogant, and they definitely are excited about the run game. I still think this is going to be one, though, where the personnel lines up, where it's quick pass game, Bo Nix getting out. I'm expecting Evan Ingram. I'm expecting Pat Bryant. I'm expecting Dobbins. So I'll be curious to see how the run game looks in this one, because if there's anywhere the Titans have a win on paper in this matchup, it's the Titans defensive tackles versus the Broncos interior offensive line. Quinn Miners, you're absolved. Even though you didn't have the best preseason, you're absolved from that one. But Wattenberg and Powers, you're not on the poop list necessarily for me, but you're on the I don't trust you, I don't love you list.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, and adding to it is, you mentioned the outside zone scheme, and that wasn't looking great. And that just adds to it. I think that Peyton's going to look at this game as trying to help get that going and help get the wrinkles ironed out, so to speak. And then using the passing game to fall back on. Like if things aren't working, if they get, behind the sticks a little bit, or it's, they don't do anything on first down, second down, I think they'll look to pass. I think they're going to use a lot and just use the passing game off the running game. Kind of like old school mentality, whereas now more modern thinking is you run off the pass. I think it's going to be that they're going to pass off the run and use that to try to open things up. And again, just try to force it. Try to get Luke Wattenberg and Ben Powers up to speed on it. Having some conversations. There seems to be some, I don't want to say confusion, but some communication errors with the offensive line, especially with the outside zone stuff at the moment that they want to wrinkle out. So you mentioned Sweat and Simmons, and yeah, they're tough interior run defenders, but I still think that Denver's going to do what they can to run outside of it. Draymond Jones isn't a very good run defender. He wasn't really a good one in Denver. He was decent enough to get by, but that was definitely a weaker link. Arden Key has been a good pass rusher for them. Not a great run defender. You mentioned those linebackers, and even the safeties coming downhill aren't the best. They do have a pretty decent slot corner that against the run. And then their outside corners, they're hit or miss. So there's a lot going for it for them to really attack the outside zone in particular with the run game and trying to get that aspect of it going. So I think it's still going to be forced, and then using the pass game off of that.
Do you worry? So watching, again, everything comes back to Iowa football at the end of the day. Iowa outside zone to the short side of the field. You can freaking bet on it. That's what Kirk Ferentz wants. When they switch it up a little bit now, they're adding more power. But for years, it's outside zone, short side of the field. And when you think of that, you think of guys moving in space and the athleticism and running away from defensive tackles. But if you also think about it, if you have a line of offensive linemen, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the guy in the lead, let's say you're running to the left and it's Ben Powers, and the defensive tackle cuts him off, everybody on the backside stops as well. It's just a halt right there. So I do worry. You think about, we just run away from them to the outside. Not necessarily. If you are getting blown back immediately, the entire integrity of the offensive line moving in concert is destroyed. So I do worry about that, specifically with Wattenberg and Powers and their movement skills. I guess Powers, especially with the movement skills stuff. Wattenberg moves okay. Just it's kind of Play-Doh hands sometimes when he tries to make contact with guys. They just kind of crumple. So I don't know. I'm maybe they'll try to get a little bit more. I agree with you, like trying to get these guys running side to side. I think it might be more RPO centric. And starting wide receiver on the depth chart, Eric, Marvin Mims. Maybe we see the screen game or the reverse and the screen game get implemented, because I think you do have to tire out those defensive tackles. I just don't necessarily believe in the offensive line winning those matchups. At least early on. I think you got to loosen them up with different designs.
Yeah, I don't fully disagree with that. It just comes back to Sean Payton and, the arrogance he has as a coach of always having to prove himself right. We saw it last year against Seattle in the season opener. What did he do? He wanted to prove himself right, that Bo Nix was the guy. So he kind of spammed Bo Nix quite a bit to start the season and kind of faltered. Even in Seattle in particular, the run game was actually rather effective in that first half. And then he went away from it in the second half. So I could see it kind of being the same thing for better or worse, just this time with the run game, and particularly, RJ Harvey, getting him the reps, getting him to be the guy. I think that if they could do more inside stuff, I think it's going to obviously be more Dobbins, as he does bring a little bit more of that power to, if Sweat blows it up or Simmons blows it up, maybe he can, turn a loss into like a yard pickup or something. But it is a thing of, again, outside, I think they're going to work at tiring him out, and Sean Payton trying to prove himself right, that Harvey's the guy, because again, it was a pick that's still being questioned by a lot of people. And Sean Payton, he is one of those coaches that does listen to outside noise. So when he hears something that questioning something he did, he just likes to prove them wrong. And so for better or worse, I think they're going to spam it. I think Broncos will struggle. I'm actually in agreement with you when it comes to the offensive line and the concerns, but it all comes down to Sean Payton and his arrogance as a coach and desire to always be right.
I feel like he has that, but not to the point where it's detrimental, large sample size. But we'll see. I will say right now for the Broncos run game taking off this week, that would be an underdog story for me, for Denver this week specifically. I think it's going to be a Bo Nix efficiency game, which is good enough to get the win. But again, Titans massive underdogs in this one. Although sometimes, Eric, we do like underdogs. Maybe not this week, but we do like an underdog.
Yeah, speaking of underdogs, football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and so much more.
That's right. Get your picks right, and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. 5,000. You heard that right. You can play with as little as $1. So if you think you've got a beat on J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey, rushing yards, touchdowns, anything like that, Broncos players, and how they're going to do week one, download Underdog and win some money.
See, I have so much fun playing Underdog and winning money while watching football. Well, that's a touchdown, you guys. Download the app today and sign up with promo code MHuddle to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code MHuddle. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks and win money.
Be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
All right. Good to see everybody. We got Coach Chris coming in here, $20. Thank you so much, Coach. He says, good morning. Guten Tag to you as well. It's opening. Is that good night? Guten Morgen. It's opening week. So excited. Steaks are bought. Oh, man. We're coming over to Coach Chris's house. Beers are on ice, and the pool is sitting at 84 degrees. Ooh, hot tub. It all sounds good to me, though. I'm in, Coach. Thanks for the invite. Thank you for the $20 super chat. Hope you're doing well. We got Joey Grubbs in the house. Broncos should win. Absolutely. Ernie Mays, the man, the myth. Tim Hoffman in the house. Appreciate you, Timmy. Hope you're doing well. Hopefully, we're friends. We can call each other Timmy. Clayton, hey. Smash that like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Mr. Roush asks, curious, how do you become a member? What perks will join either way? It's just a good way to support us, and there is member-exclusive content. There's been Culverman's Corner, the Mile High Book Club, a bunch of stuff like that. But it does help us a bunch, and it's a good way to you gain XP as well. You can kind of see where you're at in the contributions and experience in the chat as well. So good way to support the show. So do that. Helps us a heck of a lot. Speaking of help, Dave Glassman in the house. Great to see you. And Conga, I kind of got to this last night, Eric. In the NFL, a win is a win is a win. I'm predicting 27-13, like I said, but let's say Denver wins this one 17-16. We're going to have plenty to, grind our teeth about, but come week 18, it's going to show as a win in the win column and not a loss in the loss column. So there are no style points in the NFL. We'll have stuff and individual matchups to analyze. I'm sure if Denver doesn't meet expectations, but we are not to the point where we can be booing Denver winning by 10 or whatever it was at half, like that Jags game back in 2013, 2014, or maybe it was the Titans that they played where Denver fans were booing at halftime, even though they were winning. We're not that spoiled yet. Hopefully we can get there again, but a win is a win is a win. And that's what counts at the end of the day. This isn't the example I used last night was Ohio State playing Akron, where if you win by 1 point, you're going to lose ranking. Counts the same in the stat column. You win 100-0, you win 3-2. Win.
Yeah.
Counts the same.
Yeah, it's a win's a win. And then if they win by 1 point, 17-16, obviously there's going to be a lot of talk about what went wrong. And I'm sure there are going to be some Bronco fans that are like, oh no, the sky is falling. Everything's over. We barely beat a bad Titans team. But it's also the first game of the season. The Broncos starters only saw like 50 total snaps over the preseason, give or take. And they only played in 2 games. Like, they're still putting things together. So if there's a little bit of some struggles to start the season, it's not the end of it. Obviously, it'll be a lot for us to talk about come Monday morning and throughout the week of, well, this is what went wrong. This is where the Broncos need to improve. But, it's game 1. I wouldn't be surprised if there are some struggles. I still expect them to handle business. But I think it's going to be a game where the defense really takes over just because of Cam Ward struggling in his first rookie start and the issues that he has, the issues with their offensive line. But the offense, I could still see them struggling. But to get to Conga said, there are, no matter what, there's going to be fans that basically lose their mind in some way when it comes to it. Because if the Broncos do blow out the Titans, you're going to get those fans that are like, we're gonna go undefeated, we're gonna be perfect, like nothing's wrong with this team. Either way, you get fans that are on the extreme end of things.
Yeah, but at the same time, we love it. You want the extreme reactions. We try to be grounded in reality. I kind of put that aside, like during the game itself, and I like to feel the game, and then afterwards, like, okay, got that out of my system. I tried to mostly get it out on Saturday with the Hawkeyes getting irrationally upset or ridiculous, but for the games themselves, especially in hindsight analysis or perspective analysis, much more grounded. Try to be. You guys can let us know if we're not doing it though. We got Nelson. Good morning, fellas from Virginia. Good to see you, East Coast. Gen X Hive Mind. Couldn't agree more. We were creating britches that we may not be able to fill. Win's a win's a win. Stay healthy and walk out with a dub, and that's all that matters. Aaron Cooley coming over on Facebook. Good morning to you, Aaron. He says defense should have a big game. I see multiple sacks coming from multiple players. Yeah, this could be a big sack game. That sounds fun. A game with a lot of tackles behind the line of scrimmage for the Broncos. I really think the defensive plan is going to be pretty simple. Execute your assignments, take away the run. I don't want to make this easy on Cam Ward. How do you make it easy? Same formula the Broncos followed last season for making it easy on Bo Nix. Run game wasn't great by any means, but Denver wasn't in a lot of 3rd and 14s very often. There was not a lot of the really horrible, obvious drop back pass situations. But if you get him in a obvious drop back pass situations, that's where I think things can snowball. Sacks, interceptions, strip sacks, blah, blah, blah. So take away the run. I think that is, it sounds simple. It's obviously easy at the end of the day, but make Cam Ward beat you. And if he does, rookie first game on the road, God bless. Tip your cap. But I'm not going to. How do you make it hard on him? Make them one-dimensional. Put it on the quarterback to get it done, especially because they don't have, a Julio Jones, Justin Jefferson type that he can spam the football to. So otherwise, the goal would be, triple teaming, double teaming, and taking away the security blanket. But right now, I think it's take away the run, make it hard, make it 3rd and long, make him have to use the full field on obvious dropbacks.
Yeah, and taking away the run, this is an offensive line where they should be able to do that, even with some of the concerns that they have against the run, because this offensive line doesn't look like it's going to be good. Peter Skoronski, he had a great preseason. He was great last year. He looks like a stable offensive lineman for them, but everything else around them looks very questionable. I think Dan Moore signed one of the biggest left tackle contracts in the NFL this offseason. I don't think he was very deserving of it. Not that he's a bad tackle. There's just a very big weakness to his game, and I think Nick Bonito is the right guy to take advantage of that, or Jonah Ellis against the run. In the run game, I should be clear, though, Dan Moore does have a very clear edge over Nick Bonito. Nick Bonito has the edge in the passing game, but J.C. Latham did not have a good rookie year, was terrible last year, and played in the preseason, and he looked worse. It looked like his techniques took a step back. Lloyd Cushenberry, he didn't play in the preseason, played, I think, right under 500 snaps last year before he got hurt, and he was playing terribly before he got hurt. And then they brought in the new guard as well, Kevin Zietler. They brought him in. So there's a bunch of new pieces coming in. You're betting on development of a second-year player. You're hoping Lloyd Cushenberry is able to bounce back and live up to that big contract they gave him. A lot of questions on this offensive line. And even though the Broncos defense has questions about their ability to stop the run consistently or, get those negative plays in the run game, they should be able to win against this offensive line, both in the run game to set up the certain longs and then have the pieces to take advantage of that by getting sacks or generating pressures for turnovers on 3rd and long or in obvious passing downs. So this is one of those areas where the Broncos should be able to win consistently in the trenches on the defensive side of the ball. And this is a game for on both sides. I think the defensive line has the advantage in the trenches for both teams. Do
you have any matchups specifically on the defensive side of the ball that you are I want one that you're thinking the Broncos should just absolutely dominate. And I also want one that you're a little weary of. Broncos defense, as you mentioned, they should win this one pretty emphatically. But is there any area on this team that you're like, I'm not so sure about that one?
So the one matchup that I think that the Broncos should be able to dominate is Nick Benito against Dan Moore in the passing game specifically. And then the one that I'm kind of weary of, Chigo Okonkwo. I think he's a very underrated tight end. He's really started to emerge last year. He's one of those, basically a big receiver, doesn't do much as a blocker. And with Dre Greenlaw on a pitch count and the concerns behind him, I have a lot of worry about him being that outlet for Cam Ward and is just able to take over the game in an aspect. And if it wasn't Okonkwo, it'd be Tyler Lockett against Jaquan McMillan in the slot, just because he's such a good veteran and savvy veteran that he'll be able to pick up on the weaknesses of McMillan and potentially be able to exploit them. And both of them seem to be those quick game outlets. So if the Titans want to avoid that pressure and go more quick game, those would be the two players that I'm looking at being that main target.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the tight end. He has been a pretty good player. Did he come from Maryland? Is that where he was drafted from?
I believe so.
Off the top of my head. He's a decent player, no doubt. Chig, fourth round pick from a couple years ago. Tight ends a lot of times take time to develop. He's smaller, 6'2", 240, 235. But with Denver Broncos linebackers being on a pitch count, that is one that I'm somewhat worried about. Obviously, you added Greenlaw, Singleton, you have the safety. Honestly, it might be more of a Hufanga and Jaquan McMillan assignment and responsibility than it is actually the linebacker, especially if those the two linebackers reportedly are going to be on a pitch count. But that is one where it is concerning. It just doesn't feel like it's explosive enough. Like it's a chain moving one, but with a rookie quarterback, can they consistently, hit their mid-range jump shot to march on the field and get sevens instead of three? I don't know if they have that explosive element. So as long as Denver's taking away the run game, the ball's going to have to go somewhere, and there will be some level of bleeding from the defense because, this isn't, again, Ohio State versus, let's give another team an straight at this point. Toledo. That's a pretty good MAC team. But Youngstown State. We'll go with even smaller there. Shout out to the Penguins. That's an area that I do think is interesting. But Denver's defense should dominate this one. I think that's one if Denver is giving them, they're moving the ball efficiently and scoring points. Maybe we should come in, Monday, Wednesday, a little bit like, I know it's only one game, but that's not what you want to see versus a Titans team that is really lacking firepower. Now, they have really invested in the offensive line, and it is year 2 underneath their head coach, whose name's escaping me right now, but his dad is one of the best offensive line coaches in football. So they have Latham there. They obviously have Peter Skoronski as well, 2 first-round picks. They bring in Zeitler. We'll see. The Titans defense, though, is the more Broncos offense versus Titans defense, I think, is the more even matchup at the end of the day. The defense still has a ways to go for that Titans team, especially in the back seven. They did trade and pay L'Jarius Sneed last offseason. They have drafted Roger McCreary. Jarvis Brownlee had a pretty good rookie season, but is it a good rookie season in a sense that he got opportunity because they're a bad team? And so he plays, or is it that he's actually a very good player in the end? Same with McCreary out there as well. So big concern for me is, again, those 2 defensive tackles, along with Draymond Jones and Sebastian Joseph Day. They got some meat up front, which doesn't lend itself to Denver being overly dominant on the ground. So I think it's got to be a Bo Nix game. I think it's got to be a Bo Nix being efficient, being smart, maybe picking up some yards with his legs as well, because they are bigger. Maybe he's not going to be chased around as much, so there'll be opportunities for him to, first 2 reads aren't there. Okay, there's a lane. We're going to pick up 6 yards and get out of bounds. Just being smart, efficient, and I think that should be enough, just because outside the defensive tackles, they just don't really have any heavy hitters, star power players on the defense, in my opinion.
Yeah, they have their secondary, their corners in particular. They could be a good unit. Roger McCreary, he's been one of the better nickels over the last couple of years. Really physical, really good run defender in particular. Does have some weaknesses in the passing game. L'Jarius Sneed, does he bounce back? Like, he hasn't been the best since leaving Kansas City. So can he bounce back from that? And then Jarvis Brownlee, he initially got his start because of injury. It wasn't even where he played to earn it. Two guys I believe ahead of him got hurt, and he came out and he played decently well. And one guy that the Titans reporters and stuff have hyped up a lot for taking that next step is Brownlee. So I'm really curious to see what he is. He's a guy that I know Lance was really big on coming out of the draft, and I was decently high on him. So curious about that. But the defensive line, those front three, they're very talented because we talked about Sweat and Simmons, but even they have Sebastian Joseph Day. He's their other guy, and he's a pretty solid player as well. But the outside linebackers, I think they have some concerns there with Arden Key and Draymond Jones, particularly against the run. Talked about that a lot earlier in the show about being able to attack the edges. And then the linebackers, Cedric Gray and Cody Barton. This duo screams that they are going to be like Denver last year. Granted, Cody Barton was part of it, but Cedric Gray, when I watch him, he's just so similar to Justin Strnad with where the strengths and the weaknesses lie, that I think Denver could find ways to take advantage of that. Cody Barton is what he is. I know a lot of people in Denver were surprised at the contract that he got based off of his play last year. I know people outside of Denver were surprised as well. And it was a move that was described as screaming of desperation for something better at linebacker. Mm-hmm. And so I think that they'll be able to do that. So you mentioned the quick passing game, and with Sean Payton's love for attacking, the middle of the field, I could see him trying to, do a lot of those dig routes and getting that going, trying to lay it up, for Evan Ingram or Cortland Sutton or whoever, in that area of the field that's just behind the linebackers, ahead of the safeties. And this goes back to his desire. I think what will be his desire anyways, to get the run game going, of using that to help pull those linebackers up to create an even bigger opening for that area of the field for his Bo Nix and his receivers to exploit, because Barton was terrible about giving up that extra space, and Gray isn't any better.
Yeah. We do have Gen X asking, I was late. Have you already covered this? What's stronger for the Titans defense, passing or run? We said run, just because Tavondre Sweat and Jeremy Simmons are one of the better run stuffing defensive tackle duos. Tavondre Sweat, I know that he had some questions about maturity and whatnot coming out of Texas, but he looked pretty damn good last season. I still laugh about his interception in that Cincinnati game. Will Levis special, but he was awesome. And Simmons has been one of the more underrated defensive tackles in football for a while now. He's not, Chris Jones as far as his Gumby-like flexibility and ability to get after the passer, but he is grown man strong. One of the stronger punches in all of the NFL. So the defensive tackle duo is the identity of this team, and it's going to make it tough for Denver to run between the middle. Talk about a heavyweight matchup. Quinn Miners versus whoever the defensive tackle is lined up against him is going to be interesting, and they're built for more power up front. They're not going to necessarily be the best pass rushing unit at the end of the day, because they're not dominant with the edge rushers, so they don't have like a linebacker who can be that versatile chess piece rusher necessarily, but they're big. So they're built to stop the run. It's, again, I come back to Bo Nix being smart, quick pass game, getting them running side to side, stretch them horizontally, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a pitch or outside zone, but reverses, RPOs, maybe a little bit of trickery, just get that foot speed, get them going the wrong way. They're big up front. So if their shoulders are pointed the wrong way, it's a little bit harder for them to redirect. Did want to talk about, before we get out of here, Eric, unless you had a point to add on that one, I did want to talk about Bill Barnwell saying the Broncos are going to miss the playoffs this season as well. Anything about my points about the defense? I mean, we just retouched on what we talked about at the 5-minute mark.
I was going to say, with that, is adding to it is, when you have big guys like that, one big issue is change of direction. Sweat doesn't change direction very well. Simmons, for as good as he is, he kind of struggles with it. The linebackers, they struggle. If they start going one way, they struggle to stop and then start moving the other way. So a lot of misdirection stuff. And again, getting them moving one way and attacking the other, forcing them to change that direction. That's another way that the Broncos, I think, can find ways to win against this Titans defense.
And we saw, I know that's supposed to be more boots and outside zone for the offense this season, but Denver was I think they were number one in the NFL in sprint outs last season with Bo Nix, a lot of high lows with one side of the field, making it, I don't want to call it training wheels because that sounds derogatory to Bo Nix, but they made it pretty simple.
It's training wheels
for him. They weren't asking him, under center dropbacks, full field reads very often. And I expect, moving the pocket, making those big bodies move and change directions. So a lot of that. I think Denver does have an advantage. I think Sean Payton's a good enough coach that if it's not working, he's going to figure out ways around it to still get the efficiency from it. Because I just don't think Denver's built to win just right up the gut in this game with the bodies that the Titans have. But we'll see. So Bill Barnwell picked his 14-team playoffs, and he says Denver out of the playoffs this year. He has the Chiefs winning the AFC West. He does have the Chargers making it, and he says Denver's out. He writes in his article, and I respect Bill. I think he's going to be wrong, but I respect Bill. He says in 2024, the Broncos had the league's best defense on a per-play basis, leading all teams in expected points added per snap. Shout out to EPA. Just about every meaningful player returns from that unit, and the Broncos added Dre Greenlaw, first-round pick Jahdae Barron. He doesn't mention Afanga, but he's in here too. But we know defense is more variable than offense from year to year. Even in their dominant 2024 campaign, the Broncos had the highest variance of any defense on a week-to-week basis per the FTN Football Almanac. We've talked about that as well. Defense should still be good, of course, but Vance Joseph's group probably doesn't project as the top in the league in 2025. And we've talked about all that as well, Eric, about expectations probably 5. Like if they're top 8, it's okay. We're expecting top 5, expecting number 1. We'll see. We will see. But after that, he writes, can the offense make up for any decline on defense? Maybe. There are positives from Bo Nix last season, but the Broncos faced one of the league's easier schedules of opposing defenses, and Nix's success often aligned with friendlier matchups on the docket. Coach Sean Payton was careful to shield Nix from drop-back passing situations against tough competition, and with a great defense, Nix wasn't often asked to throw a ton from behind. When he was, including the Bills and the Ravens, the results weren't great. Broncos were 1-7 versus teams with a winning record before the blowout victory against the Chiefs JV squad in Week 18, and after making the postseason, the Broncos will face tougher schedule in 2025. They went 6-1 in games decided by 7 points or less, including a loss that should have been a statement win over the Chiefs at Arrowhead. Sometimes stuff happens. I wouldn't hold that one against Denver necessarily, but they competed there. Although most of their narrow games look closer than they were because of late scores by Denver that didn't materially impact the outcome. I'm not sure about that one. He might be right there. He must be right. Bills does his work, but it feels like in a lot of the games, they were closer. If you think Nix takes the next step, Broncos should be ahead of the Chargers. I'm not as confident, which is why the Broncos narrowly miss out in my bracket. I think the one thing that he doesn't have leaning on here that at this point we all should be leaning on is that the Chargers hurt and upset some ancient god or built a practice facility on a burial ground or something. And you already saw Rashawn Slater get hurt. They've had running back, I think, dings and bruises already. They're pretty old at wide receiver. And are we also expecting some Chargers regression on defense? Everybody's talking about the Broncos, but the Chargers had a good defense last year without having a lot of star players. Why can't the Chargers defense regress as well? So again, I expect the Broncos defense, our offense, to be better this season. And I expect Bo Nix to be slightly better. I expect the run game to be slightly better. So at the end, it probably, like what we talked about, results in, for me, about the same win-loss record. 11 wins is where I have them at. With that variance also. Bring up the punter watch again. I'm on you, Aussie. I love Australia, but man, you're on watch for me, Crawshaw. But I think Denver makes the playoffs. And I know that it's fine to still question Bo Nix. And he points on the reasons why. I mean, we've talked about ample. I love the content of this. I just disagree to the extent that how much I believe in Sean Payton putting Denver in the right situation and his amplifying effect on the offense on the whole.
Yeah, with Barnwell, I got to say, looking through it, he also doesn't have the Commanders making it. He doesn't have the Texans making the playoffs. He has the Jaguars winning the AFC South. He has the Pittsburgh Steelers making it as a wild card team. One man's opinion at the end of the day, and I have a lot of respect for Barnwell and the work he does. I just disagree with 90% of what he has in this article. As for what he wrote specifically about the Broncos, in particular about them being 1-6 in those one-score games, and it wasn't really meaningful. It was, though. Outside of maybe the first loss to the Chargers, where the Chargers really changed up their defense in the second half and how they were playing the Broncos, leading the Broncos to come back a little bit. The rest of the games that were one-score games, the rest of those losses were not because close, just because Denver scored late. The Bengals game, well, Denver actually tied it and brought it to overtime. Like, that is impactful on the game, even though they ended up losing. The Chargers game, the second one, they actually had the lead until the weird end of first half, and the Chargers came out in the second half and took it over. The Steelers game, they were in that one literally until the end. We were at that game, and they, even though they weren't doing well offensively, they still had a chance there late in the game to go and win it. The Seahawks game was another one where it was kind of a little bit of a back and forth. So I'm not in agreement with that statement there. The rest of it, defensive regression, the variance of week to week last year, that's all, fine and dandy. The fact that they're 1-7 against teams with a winning record before the Kansas City Chiefs JV squad, yeah, it's something that we've talked about a lot as well on here. It's something that I've talked about a lot on the Valley Deep Divers on Friday night. And it's just one of those things of, yeah, you got to win those games. You got to beat the winning teams. But first step is you really got to win those games that you're supposed to win. Denver did that. Hope is they do that this year. I still think that they have enough of those games that they should win on the schedule this year to get them close to the playoffs. And again, it just comes down to, I think they do a little bit better against those teams with a winning record. I think that, there's a lot of other teams that do take a step back, like the Chargers, like the Texans, and Denver's able to win those. And we've talked before, I have them going 13-4. That's making the playoffs at the very least. I have them winning the division as well. In the end, come January, we'll see who's right.
Yeah. Yes, we will. Yes, we will. We're going to wrap it up here. We got Troy first. Don't want to skip out on $9.99 from Troy. Thank you so much. It says, if the Broncos lose this week, I predict a meltdown like after the Dolphins game. Hype everywhere, but with you two is Russell Wilson first game with the Broncos level. I hope we win this week. Denver should win, and I don't expect it to be a Dolphins-like game. People obviously will be freaking out because this is a tough division, and AFC is loaded with superstar quarterbacks, and you cannot drop gimmies at the end of the day. Then you're playing catch up and have to make up. Now, Broncos, again, 0-2 hole last season, dug out and made the playoffs. But if Denver's the team we expect them to be, and more importantly, the team they expect them to be, they need to win this game. And I did want to give a shout out. Thank you, Troy, so much. We also got David says, surgery went okay, took 9 hours, which was long, lost a lot of blood, ICU now, no movement. Well, surgery went okay, so we'll take that. It sounded worse from down the sentence from there, but thinking of you, David, and hopefully you're bouncing off the floor right now and trending up from here.
Yeah, I hope you're doing well and on the road to recovery, David.
Yep. And Eric, wrapping up the show here, 7:31 my time, 8:31 Mountain Time. Score prediction. You said something to 6, 20-6?
24-9.
24-9. And I got 27-13. We'll see, baby. It's here. We'll find out a lot. Week by week, game by game. David also comes in, dropping the super chat after his surgery. God bless you, David. Man, that's crazy. I don't know. Show has to go longer, says Coach Chris. Well, I got to do fatherly stuff. Eric's got to do work. It is what it is. We're here for an hour, give or take, 10, 15 minutes. How much will Dre play? I'll call 35 snaps.
I'll say right around 50 to 55% of the defensive snaps.
Okay. I was trying to do
that's right. That's right about 35, typically, yep. About 70 snaps.
It'd be nice if it was less, because that means their Broncos are just dominating time of possession and everything. But appreciate everyone coming in. Shout out to David. Appreciate you. Michael Ronquillo. Coach Chris, $20 for coming over for the steaks and the beer. Maybe lower the degrees on the temperature, though, on the pool. 84-degree pool sounds hot to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm soft now after living in the Pacific Northwest. But Eric, fun show. Shout out to Underdog as well. Make sure you guys are becoming a member over on MHH YouTube. Also, of course, subscribe, like, and share over on YouTube, as that ticker says underneath. If you're joining us, if you have an X account or Twitter or whatever the heck you want to call it, I don't care. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Nick Kendell MHH. Eric's at Erick Trickel. We're also over at Mile High Huddle. And Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. You can find us over there as well. Next, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I just clicked over to Twitter, and apparently Sean Payton almost became the head coach of the Raiders years ago, and then Jerry Jones got in the way. He did an interview with Peter Schrager that he just was talking about it.
Interesting. Well, glad that didn't happen. And yeah, man, we're hanging out. We're having a good time. And gonna get on out of here. I got dad duty. I'm sure you got dad duty. You got to go work on that multiplication with Bug as well. And we'll see you guys all again soon. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Have a great rest of your week. Enjoy football tomorrow. And hopefully it's a Broncos dub with everybody staying healthy. Those early, we mentioned it earlier, those first 2 to 4 weeks, that's where most of your big season-ending injuries happen. So can Denver get through that wave? Hope so. We'll keep an eye out, obviously. We're hoping for the best. Go Broncos. Choose kindness and compassion, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your week. Peace.